to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have 5 commissioners present, therefore a quorum, and Ryan, Commissioner Ames is not going to be here, and we're not sure if Commissioner Roy will be in or not. So we'll take a motion to accept and approve with a waiver the reading of the minutes from last meeting.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chair, just requested that I sent it out to all the commissioners and just for the change of the wording that I had requested last week or last meeting, just that it would instead reflect I am opposed based on the grounds that the charter requires it. I think it would have been better to have just changed the order of the agenda. So the audio was listened to and corrected. So I just request that amendment. And other than that, I'm happy for a vote.
Objection to that amendment? Moved. Yeah.
Or are we not doing that anymore?
Second.
I think this was acclamation week. We don't have to, but I think we're good. We'll take a vote on the approval of the minutes. So all those in favor? Those opposed? Unanimous? 6-1. With the good Commissioner Roy in attendance. Good to see you. Item 5, review and approval of all bills, part-time deputies payroll.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the warrants as presented.
Second.
Second that, moved and seconded to approve the warrants as presented.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Commissioner.
Just looking at the Bank of America list, I appreciate that you provided the list of what accounts they go to, but there isn't any information on what they're for. I think in the past, they would specify what it was for, whether it was for, certain equipment, specific, whether it was for TVs, for the jail or
Was there an
whatnot.
Excel list there? There should have been.
It was the list, it just, all there was a list. It said like maintenance department or this or that, but it didn't explain what the actual, if we could, yeah, that's it, but it doesn't give any information of what what is actually being
You will
purchased.
find it on along about the 4th page, 5th, 6th page.
Mhm. That page right there that you're looking at. And if you look at the right-hand column, or the farthest most left column, that all it says is maintenance supplies, et cetera. It doesn't give the actual what it's needed for.
Indeed.com advertising, food for wellness meeting, office supplies,
Yeah.
Adobe renewal, health inspection license, food for corrections, postage. I don't know how much more.
That's what we normally
Hey.
do.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Computer supplies.
I'm just asking for information about what supplies are being purchased, et cetera. This is not what I'm used to seeing as far as I recall. I've not checked back in the older ones, but I don't believe this is the way it was before. So that's why I'm requesting.
I believe it was.
Do we really care the specific items? Are we going to get into that level of detail of oversight? I mean, don't we hire a county manager to do that for us?
Mr. Chair,
Further?
I would just point out that as commissioners, we are the ones signing it, not the county manager at the end of the day. So we do have the authority and responsibility to ask for that information. And that's good policy. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, my vote would be in the future, I don't want to see every single 50-cent purchase or $25 purchase.
Very good.
It's a bit too much information for me.
Any further questions or comments?
Just one other question, Mr. Chair. WH Demons for $34,930. What is that for? Okay, thank you.
One of the payments, we still need initial down payment at the beginning. This is like the number 2 payment. And then when the manufacturer signs off on the roof, we have a small final payment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cody. Appreciate it.
Is it the pleasure of the board to accept the warrants as written and presented? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries unanimous. Reports, we're continuing under reports. Anything from MCCA?
Nothing to report.
Nothing from MCCA. Central Maine Western Workforce.
Nothing terribly new. The board is working hard to ensure that Mainers displaced by their employers because of the COVID-19 pandemic have the access to continued training and reemployment in other venues. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Commissioner. You guys always seem to have something going on.
Yeah.
Especially right now,
These
I'm
two.
sure.
Yeah. Proceed with the treasurer's report.
Okay, for the May reports, May was pretty slow. We were close to the public, so things were a little slower than normal. But the report, cash on hand, we had 665,000, of course, 3 million of that was TAN, so cost of interest, 10,463. We're below budget on that so far. As far as expenses, not a lot different from the last report. Like I said, things been pretty slow. So unless you have any questions on that. Revenues, deeds, May was a little bit lower than 2009. Year to date, deeds is still above 2019 for the year to date. So that's looking promising. Probate, civil, below. I really doubt if they'll catch up totally, but we're monitoring those two areas. So that's, if there's any questions, it's not really, hopefully June will be a little more exciting.
Are they going to start doing civil process now that?
They
They
have.
have.
Chair?
Commissioner?
Are we open now to do, I know nobody's traveling, but are we open to do passports and things like that to try to
We haven't
start
done,
generating?
we haven't done passports yet. I'm not sure when they're gonna allow that to happen. That's
Not that
but,
anyone's going anywhere much.
right, yeah. But hopefully that will be available soon.
Commissioner Larry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you, I appreciate this report. Do you see at this time, or are you hearing anything from the towns of that they're starting to expect hardship in getting, meeting their tax levy at this point? And I know maybe it's a little too early to tell, but I'm just concerned about that. Okay.
I don't know if Larry has talked to me or not.
We haven't heard anything.
Now the pleasure of the board to accept the treasurer's report. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries unanimous. Report of the administrator.
Okay, just very quickly, the probate floor is being reinforced as part of the project of creating that probate office. Held a department head meeting last week. I approved allowing the YMCA and the sewer district to hook their YMCA roof drains into our drainage system. They're going to be doing that fairly soon. Still working on budgets. In your package, you have a draft budget schedule for commissioners and for the budget committee. Again, it's pretty much the same as last year. We'll be coming to you second week in August, and then going to budget committee in September. The flag is having a fourth leg added to the cougar, and you have a copy of that in your packet as well. What it's supposed to look like. I'm continuing to review employee evaluations. On the table in my office, there is, as they were moving things to reinforce the probate floor, I have a book which is approximately 3 feet by 2.5 feet by yay thick, and it's regarding bonding for this building in the 1850s. And it's kind of interesting to just, open up and look at, even though you wouldn't want to read every page. But anyway, that's there if anybody wants to look at it. The final audit should be here shortly, and that's things that are going on. Like is good in Androscoggin County.
Life is good. Any questions for the administrator?
Oh, wait.
I have a question. Have we considered moving the jail to a calendar year end? Any further than what we had in the past?
We keep talking about that. The easier way actually would be to move the county to the fiscal year, July, June.
Why would that be easier?
Well, simply because I think most of our towns are
Oh, yeah, okay, I guess.
July, June, and then also to you know, just the way things go because of the way the budgets are in towns, and it would just be the problem with that is, and Clarice is going to look into it. Actually, they were supposed to have a meeting on it. They got canceled. But it used to, when I went to, when I was in Somerset, what happened there, they had just done that prior to, they changed from a calendar year to a fiscal year. And the law was that you could do a 6-month budget, borrow the money for 5 years. The towns had 5 years to then pay it back, and then do a year budget, and so that you would have it wouldn't be all at once. The towns would be assessed. And I was looking at that as the model to do this, and discovered that a couple of years ago they repealed the law. So the question is as to how, the process, but we're going to be looking at that, and then looking at both areas of going to June or county. But that's under discussion, and needs to be happen sooner than later, but we've had too many other things to fix.
Yeah. Just FYI, so Oxford County did it. It was just really a vote of the board of commissioners to change retroactively the jail's fiscal year, and then that means that they don't have to undergo 2 separate audits, one for the jail fund and one for the county. And then as far as like crass reporting is concerned, they don't really care. There's no requirement that it be on a fiscal year end. So for the budgets for crass, what I do I just upload the budget for whatever the current fiscal year, whatever the current calendar year is. And I talked with Scott Ferguson, and he said, yeah, I don't care about that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was fairly simple to do it for the jail, just in case you guys were wondering.
Commissioner Larry, did you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to this old 1850s bond book, are you finding any documents in there that you feel impact legally how we would go out to bonding, or that we're going to be, or you're going to be referencing later in
No,
regards
it's
to
primarily
bonding?
just, that each page shows that we owed $1,000, and then it showed how we paid it off.
Okay.
It's just historical.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Treasurer Proctor, do you have any concerns? I've heard from at least one town that I get the feeling that they would be interested in that. However, that was pre-COVID headaches. But do you see any issues? I don't think so, but I wanted to ask you what your thoughts were if we did switch the fiscal year to line up the jail and the county budget at the same time.
Yeah, I haven't heard any feedback from towns. I haven't got that far yet.
More from your professional opinion, though, do you see a problem? I don't think so, but I wanted to ask you because you're the financial.
No.
Okay. All right.
If anything, all I've seen is positives.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Chair, if I could just ask, Mr. Post, if that law has been repealed, do you see it? It's hard to formulate this. Do you see it that now there's just no law? So in other words, we would be able to work with our towns and cities to find out what would be most not just convenient, but the least painful option of going about doing this? Or is it that there is some other law that this falls back to?
I haven't discovered another one, but we're gonna check into that just to find out what that process is. Okay.
Maybe, Mr. Chair, we might look at doing a workshop with the towns when things are about as quiet as it can be with this virus stuff.
The only complaint that I've heard about, because we brought it up to the budget committee, the only complaint I heard from budget committee to moving to a fiscal year all around is that that's when most of their budgets are. And so there was some concern about having to do the county budget while they were doing their town budgets. And somebody else, when I explained that, said, well, that's too bad, you know, they probably ought to be able to make 3 or 4 more meetings. So actually, what I suggested to them was they could do like Kennebec County usually does, which is just have a meeting one night and pass the budget and then they're done, so.
Ain't happening. Ain't happening.
Anything else? If not, we'll move on to comments from the public. Do we have any comments from the public? Hearing none. We'll move on to new business. Any new business? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion items. Any discussion items for the commission?
Chair. It's possible I wasn't present for the meeting, but did we at any time as a commission or you as the chair appoint someone to negotiate with the supervisory union at this time?
I don't believe that we did.
Thank you.
Further discussion items? Hearing none. Future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items?
Mr. Chair, just
Sure, Larry.
just basically, as I mentioned before, so I won't belabor the point, just the idea of us either putting together a full-blown commissioner meeting or a workshop, something where it's really devoted just to giving the towns and the cities and their financial people and their elected officials the opportunity to let us know how we would go about working this out if we were to switch our budgets
So you
to,
invite them in and say,
yes.
pass this around,
yeah, get their input
representative.
so we could make sure we're including them and getting their feelings as well. So, thank you.
Would the administrator like to do that? When do you think is a good time?
It'll take a little while to set things up, but we can do that.
Coming soon. Good. We'll now take a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make a motion that we move into executive session.
Commissioner Tuttle.
Yeah.
I'll second that. Commissioner Fedor?
I just clarify that's for subsection D of MSRA section 4056.
Commissioner?
Personnel or labor, it's got labor contracts.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, Mr. Chair, there will be no decisions after after we are out of executive session.
Might there be some decisions?
I don't expect that there will be.
We'll have no decisions after this executive session. And then,
Hold up on this item until after executive session or no?
that's a pleasure of the.
It's a joke.
All right, so everyone in favor of moving into executive session, raise your hands. All opposed? It's unanimous. We'll now move into executive session.
Now you can.
Chair understands that the Commissioner Larry moves to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by, she stole your second. Seconded by Commissioner Kelly. We are adjourned.